What if I told you pretty much everything you think you know about business competition is, well, wrong? That's the wild idea at the heart of Peter Thiel's Zero to One, a book that totally shook up Silicon Valley. So today, we're going to break down its core philosophy on how to, actually build the future.
Right out of the gate, Thiel throws a bomb at one of the biggest ideas in capitalism. We're all taught that competition is a good thing, that it's healthy, right? But Thiel's take? Competition is for losers. It's a shocking thing to say, but stick with me here. Getting why he says this is the key to his entire worldview.
To really get why he thinks competition is so bad, we have to look at how he thinks about progress itself. And that brings us to something he calls the progress paradox. So, Thiel says there are two ways to make progress. First, there's horizontal progress. Think of it as going from 1 to n. This is basically globalization. You take something that works, like a smartphone, and you just make more of them or sell them in a new country. You're copying a successful formula. But then there's vertical progress. This is going from 0 to 1. This is real technology, real innovation, creating something brand new. It's the massive difference between copying something and creating something. In that incredible leap from absolutely nothing to something real, that act of pure creation, well, that's what Thiel calls 0 to 1 thinking. 0 to 1 isn't just about making a slightly better version of something we already have. No, it's about a huge quantum leap forward. It's about creating a totally new solution that takes the world from nothing in a certain category to something. It's inventing the future, not just polishing the present. Okay, so if this kind of innovation is so powerful, why don't we see more of it? Thiel argues that the dot-com crash left a huge scar on a whole generation of entrepreneurs. After the crash, these flawed ideas took hold. Just make small, safe improvements, don't make big, long-term plans, and here's the big one, just focus on being a little bit better than your competitors. Thiel says these lessons are actually a recipe for failure. And that obsession with competitors, that constant race to be just a tiny bit better, brings us right back to his most controversial idea. Competition is for losers. Thiel says it perfectly here. All happy companies are different. Each one earns a monopoly by solving a unique problem. Just let that sink in. He's saying that true, lasting success comes from being so unique that you have no competition, not from winning a brutal fight in a crowded market. Let's just break this down side by side. In a world of perfect competition, think like a dozen different pizza places on one street. Profits get squeezed down to almost nothing. Everyone's just focused on surviving today. You're all just fighting over the same customers, and eventually everyone starts to look the same. But a monopoly, a company that's so different it has no real competition, well, they can make real profits, focus on long-term goals, and create brand new value for everyone. You see, competition is basically a war over a pie that just keeps getting smaller. But true innovation, that 0 to 1 leap, it bakes a whole new pie just for you. The goal isn't to win the war, it's to avoid the war entirely. All right, so if competition is the enemy, how in the world do you actually go about building one of these monopolies? Here's another bit of business school wisdom that Thiel just flips on its head. We've all heard of first mover advantage, but Thiel says to forget that. Being first often means you're the one who makes all the mistakes for others to learn from. The real goal is to be the last mover, the one who becomes so dominant that you're the last company standing. I mean, think about it. Was Google the first search engine? Nope. Was Facebook the first social network? Not even close. But they became the last movers. So how do you become that last mover? Thiel gives us a 4-part recipe. First, you need proprietary technology that isn't just a little better, it's 10 times better than anything else out there. Then, you need network effects, where your product gets more useful the more people use it. That leads to economies of scale, where you get stronger and more efficient as you grow. And you protect all of that with a powerful, iconic brand. Put those 4 together, and you've built a fortress. But just having the recipe isn't enough. It really takes a different way of thinking. It's about seeing the future not as something that just kind of happens to us, but as something we can actually design and build. Thiel is crystal clear on this. He says, you are not a lottery ticket. Success is never accidental. He completely rejects this idea that success is all about luck. He believes great things are built by people who have a plan and the will to execute it. Thiel says there are basically 4 ways people look at the future. He argues that today we're mostly stuck in what he calls indefinite optimism. We kind of feel like the future will be better, but we have no specific plan for how that's going to happen. It's just hope.
But the people who build these incredible 0 to 1 companies, they live in a state of definite optimism. They don't just hope for a better future, they have a specific vision for it, and they're building it piece by piece. So, the real takeaway here is that you have to choose to make that shift in your own thinking. Stop being a passive passenger hoping things turn out okay. Believe in a specific, better future, and then take real, concrete steps to make it happen. You have to be the architect. And this all comes down to one brilliant, powerful question at the very core of this book, the question Thiel asks everyone he interviews. What important truth do very few people agree with you on? Because your answer to that question, well, that might just be your 0 to 1 idea. It's a challenge to find those secrets that are hiding in plain sight and then to have the courage to build the future that only you can see.